Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Hope everybody is having a great weekend, great Saturday, great Sunday. So we're gonna recap amazing week, amazing Friday. Market is super duper bullish. Great market for the active traders, swing traders, day traders. So a lot to recap today, and we'll recap our Friday Lotto option special. We'll talk about Netflix, MSTR, and all the big runners that we had. So let's start. Let's start with a quick introduction for anybody who's new to my YouTube recaps, new to me, new to my Twitter. All these recaps and all these teachings are from any trade ideas, any swing ideas, or any day trade ideas that I discuss. Either I talk about it here in my community, or I discuss it on Twitter, or I talk about that on my previous YouTube videos. We trade a repeatable system that thousands of traders across the world to trade consistently, called Ripster Cloud system, and we have repeatable setups. We do not trade random. We trade system is how you trade. Setups is what you trade. We have a game plan every morning. Me and my team, we create a game plan to what to trade, and you see this was a game plan. This morning I shared this game plan as well on Twitter, free to all my followers. We have our crypto watch list with the crypto levels, resistance pivots, support pivots, and we use EMA clouds to trade them. We also have something called day 2 day 3 plays, day 2 day 3 strategies. We have the levels, and this is a different strategy that we trade as well, long or short, calls or puts. Then we also have we also have something called we also have a low float watch list as well. So every morning I'm on the voice guiding the community through the trades. We have hundreds of traders talking on the our trading floor, discussing trade ideas all day. I'm on the voice first few hours of the morning, and if needed, more guiding through various trades. And I also post my comments, my guidance in my alerts feed. I will show you my time-stamped comments on any trades that we are going to discuss today, any trades that I guided my community through. So I will show you that, and we'll try to learn how the Ripster Cloud system helps us to day trade all these setups consistently. Let's start. So let's start with the Netflix, right? So Netflix, a main play. So why was Netflix a plus, right? Huge winner, a lot of profits for everyone, solid winner for everyone on Netflix. Why was that? Because it's my favorite setup. It's my A plus setup because it's an all-time highs. And an amateur trader will think, he will say, oh, it's too high, it's like, how can you buy so high? It's not. It's basically an A plus setup because the chart is at all-time highs, all-time high consolidation, all-time high breakout, and good earnings. If you have watched my previous teachings, my shorts, or my educational tweets where I talk about the earnings and the A plus setup, this was one of them. Netflix, amazing earnings, amazing growth. Let me see if I can show you that. So you can see that Netflix, this quarter, the Netflix earnings revenue came 9.82 billion. That's a record, highest quarterly revenue ever, right? And that from the last quarter, it's a solid increase, right? The earnings are growing at 44%. 44%. The revenue is growing at 15%. This is exceptional. This is exceptional earnings. So that's what you need to learn. If you watch my earnings teachings, you will understand what I'm talking about here. So exceptional earnings. So we know that it's it's an A plus setup, and we have a game plan. Let's look at the game plan here. So game plan on Netflix was pretty simple. All-time highs, bullish bias to long, breakout over pre-market highs. There are some support pivots under which we do not long it. There are some resistance pivots which are breakout pivots. So what happens at the long? Let's see at the market open. Let's see. Let's look here. Expand it a little bit here. So you can see as soon as the market opens, I tell everybody Netflix long, and after that we just hold it long. If we are in the options, first target was 755. We met that 755 target by 10 a.m. right? And then next target was 760. You always roll out your profits. When I say roll out, what I mean is, let me show you. Let's see. So this was a 742 calls. This is what I was trading. You can see that right away. As you start the day, you can even take further calls. We can look at like 750. That's too much a lotto. I don't try to do that. It's too much out of the money lotto. But even that went from like $7 to all the way to $11, right? Or the shares are better. You can buy the shares as well. And then you just, let's say you have shares, right? You made 4 grand by the time you hit here. You take some of that money, throw it into the further calls. So you hold the longs as long as the 512 holds. So you see we met all our targets. We had 760 target, we met that, right? Then we had 763 target, we met that. There was a lot of sellers at 763. So when it starts to come down, you have to take it all out. And when it cuts here, you have to get all out right here. So you get all out. So that was a long trade, right? You can see the guidance here. So now there's another trade that came in middle of the day. You see 512 calls right here. When it's pushing, so that's the second. You see that is a 512 curls, right? It's right here, and this is where you take a long again. You see there that there was a Netflix reclaim right here. You see that there was a reclaim. You know, we cut here, but then we get back into the reclaim, and you can see my guidance on the trading floor right here to long it again, right? 760 was the first target right there. When it happens, that's our first target. And then the next target was, let's look at high of the day, right? So that's what we were talking about on the second side there. Now this music coming back. So okay, so on the second curl, then our targets were 765, then 763. We met all the targets, right? 765 target met as well. And I told everybody you can buy the 770 calls. That the Lottos, you know, they go to zero because you use the morning profits. Let's say you made 5 grand, you take 500 out of them, throw into the further Lottos, because we keep playing as long as 512 holds. We keep staying long. So there was so much money to be made on Netflix today, so much opportunities all day. You just have to wait for a good entry. You can't just take a long stop out here. You have to hold as long as the trend hold. If you miss the morning setup, this is your midday setup. You take this midday setup long. There's always a midday setup. And this is something I cover in my midday repeatable setup webinar as well. I have shown you it in my previous videos as well. This is a 512 midday setup reclaim with the downtrend line, A plus setup. Now we are swinging some shares and next week options. So expecting a day 2 bigger move on next week on Netflix as well. So hopefully you got it. A plus setup, and I also gave this on Twitter as well to X followers. And this is not the first time we have done it. The other day we had a Taiwan Semi, similar setup, but it was a little different. Yesterday Taiwan Semi, because that didn't break out right away. It pulled back on the amateur move and then it broke out later on the trend move. So that's how we were long on Taiwan Semi. We covered it yesterday. Maybe I'll make another short on this Taiwan Semi as well. Today it was a day 2 short. You see it came all the way. It's in the gap. But these are the A plus earning setups, all-time highs, consolidations, great earnings. They usually work. They work 80% of the time. And when they work, they pay you really, really well. So that's why I keep stressing about repeatable setups, A plus setups. This is a repeatable A plus setup where you can make a lot of money, solid money, and where your risk is defined, because we will not long if it broke this level. We would have not touched it long. That's it. If we longed it, we lost a little bit, that's fine. But when it works, you can see it went from 735 all the way to 766. So you can see that how much profitable this trade was, right? So that was A plus on Netflix. Let's move to the next one. So next one we're going to cover is MSTR. So let's see on MSTR. So MSTR was on high watch today. Bitcoin is breaking out. So we already know Bitcoin is breaking out. So all the Bitcoin plays are strong. Coin, Mara, CLSK. And we also said that Friday MSTR normally runs, right? And it's on high watch list. That's the plan I gave in the pre-market. And if we look at MSTR, what it was doing, it was breaking out of, it was just retesting the previous breakout. You see, this is called the retest. This is called the retest. It was just retesting the previous breakout on MSTR. So that's why MSTR was on high watch. A lot of reasons, Bitcoin breaking out. And you can also see that MSTR turned over 1 hour Ripster MTF clouds, right? You see that. So you see that, right? You know that This Bitcoin is strong, like I just said. It's reclaiming the breakout. It has a big range. It runs on Friday, so everything comes together to giving us a high probability trade on MSTR. This was mostly I was mentioning on the voice. It was like a lot of guidance by RGV on MSTR today in the community. At the open, if you want to see, let's see. So you see whole community was on MSTR. Rook was there on MSTR, Tony, Robocat, Jazz. Most of the community was trading MSTR because it is just so lucrative to trade that. Then you can see the flag here, and which was a flag, and it broke out. You can see the guidance, and everybody was on MSTR and coin. You could trade the coin too, because we provide these crypto levels. You see the breakout levels on coin, MSTR. All you had to do was to follow these two levels, coin and MSTR, and follow it for the breakout trade. If you can see my guidance on MSTR, let me show you. So a short will think this is a short. They will try to short here, right here. But this is not a short, this is a buy. You buy these pullbacks on the 10-minute Ripster 512 EMA clouds. You don't short it, right? So our first target I get was 202, 08, 2010, and then we had a flag break. Then next target, I told everybody to roll their profits to 215s, and then I told them to roll their profits to 217.5s. So we continuously keep rolling our profit, right? If I want to show you the calls, let's look at some of the calls that how did they do here. Let's look at MSTR 205s, and again, if you are playing just the lottos and you're a new trader, your risk is 100% on those. So for example, if you look at these 205s on MSTR, took at the open, they went from $1.50 all the way to $5, right? You 3 timed your money, and you lock your profit there, and then you hold the rest, and it continues to push as we are meeting our targets. 205 calls continues to push $8. You can sell, right? If let's say you invested $200, you are making $1,600. You can sell that, and you take that and you throw it into your further calls. Let's say when I was giving the 210 targets, you buy the 210 calls. So you run towards that target, and then even the 210 calls, from those pullbacks went from $3 all the way to again to $6. That's another 100%. So when we were breaking out of that flag, out of 215s towards, then you could buy 217.5, right? So that's what I mentioned about, you could buy this 217.5 calls. Let me see if I can show you that right here. One second. So here's the difference, right? You buy the 275 calls, but they are lotto. They will go to zero, but you're only putting the profit money. You bought it 160, right, when I was talking about it, or 150, and then it pushed to 240s, right? And once it starts to break down, you get out. But as long as it does not break down, you continuously keep rolling the profits, trying to make that money. So that's how you trade the lotto options. All the timestamp guidance is right here on MSTR. Beautiful trade. That's how you trade the lotto options, right? Or if you are in the shares, even better, right? You buy the shares. You buy, let's say you have a big account, 1,000 shares. You sell 600-700 here. Hold the rest as long as 512 holds. You do not cut, or you buy on the extensions, sell on the extensions, and you buy on the flag dips. And it's not the first time MSTR did that. If you go back and study, MSTR did the same exact thing a few days ago. You see this big red candle, and that was the Friday too. Friday, right? Friday, the big candles, right? On Friday, that time it ran from 188, and even that time we killed it, right? We killed it that time as well. So MSTR, that's why we're ready, because we know MSTR did this last Friday. So this is something, as a trader, you need to know the personality of the stock so that you can nail it. You know how much the range is. Literally with $500, you could have made 4 or 5 grand today. That's how much the potential on MSTR was for a small account traders. But then you're willing to lose all that $500 because there are a lot of options. They can go to zero as well, right? So and yes, so that was MSTR, A+ setup, Bitcoin strong, MTF call, history of running on Friday, a retest of the breakout. So many reasons behind this MSTR trade. Should be a great example for you guys to learn. Let's go to the next one. All right, let's look at the next one. Next one we did was American Express. So American Express was On our game plan today, neutral buys 274, 272, 280, 285. Those were our levels. And as soon as it started to break down, I told everyone short it and watch the bounces. So it was a short right at open, and in by 10 a.m. it gave us 269, right, from 274s, 275s. It gave us nice fade there before curling. So, and then when it does this 512 curl, I told everybody close the shorts, MTF bounce, get out. And that was a 512 repeatable long setup. So a lot of traders in the community took that long, and then they made profits on the long side. Even better ranges from 274s all the way to 278s. So that was, let me see if I can show you some of those, the moves today that happened on and here's why you have to treat the lottos and as 100% risk. You see that once the American Express was fading in the morning, let's look here, let's look at some of those puts. You can see that those puts, they did go to push to $6, but eventually they went to zero because they were worthless, they were out of money. So you have to capitalize that move happening on that, right? The puts went to $6 from like $3, 100%. So you have to capitalize on that move, and then you have to get out. And if I look at the calls, so let's just look at the call side on, let's just see, we want to see 275s. So if on the 275s, when that curl was happening, those lot of calls went from $1 all the way to $3-4. So you see that how it's moving. If you want to trade the lot of options, that's how you do it, right? So you short it, you get out when you see this. You already get out when you see this higher lows. You don't even wait for 512s. That's your that's where it's your first signal to get out, and then you get long. You can see here, right, the MTF cloud bounce. This is always our first support. The problem with American Express was it already faded, so we didn't have too much meat on the short side. If it was somewhere here, that would have been such a beauty fade. But anyways, beautiful trade. Hopefully you understand how to trade the short side and the long side with the options. All right, let's look at the next one. There are many setups. I'm just recapping the few that I guided, but a lot of other traders, and not all of the setups will trigger, guys. Some of them trigger. This is something you have to learn if you're in community, what setup to focus on, right? I focused on Netflix. I focused on American Express. We've talked about ISRG. The ones which have range, volume, it will come with your experience, right? Focus on MSTR. We ignored some other plays, right? I'm sure Roku was on our game plan. Roku ran with Netflix, right? That was a good one, but you have to decide what you focus on, and that is your own personality, your own confidence. Anyways, so this was ALV, which was our short. You see game plan setup 512 short, right? Once it breaks 512, you short it. And I think I said trade versus 100, right? That's what I said. Yeah, trade versus 100, right? So you trade versus the 100, and then you short it. You make a couple dollars short, and once it's bouncing, you get out. Nothing too much, but you are just risking what? You're risking 50, 60 cents. You're trying to make $1.50, $2. That's not a bad risk reward. So that was ALV 512 short setup. So next one we're going to talk about is ISRG. So ISRG was a long today. So let's look at why it was. Again, ISRG was a similar A+ setup, but only difference in ISRG is it's not that traded heavily, right? You have to understand the liquidity. It was an A+. It was a A+. You can see that, right? All-time high, consolidation, breakout, all A+ long. Right, so that's why we were focusing on ISRG as well today. The only difference being ISRG is a very low volume traded. It's a million share volume traded, but it's not that liquid. But anyways, you can see that what was our planning on ISRG. Our planning was we had this. It's our 3450 bounce setup. Bullish buys to long. Okay, so you see that the first red candle amateur move pulls back. Actually, I think that was, yeah. And then this is when you start to think of long, when it's bouncing from 3450. That's when I said long versus 500. My first target was, and we were waiting for this breakout, and my target was 520. We finally did get that breakout. And you don't have to step out here. This is a support level. Even if we're breaking the 512s, you have to respect the support in this case, right? Because if there's a support, that takes more importance than the 512s, and then you bounce from the 5 that support and you push towards our 520 520 targets on ISRG. And let's see how ISRG options went today. So that they're not that liquid, they're all right, but let's see how they moved, right? So if I look at ISRG options, let's see here. So we are looking at these 715, okay, this week's Lottos Fridays. So you see that they're pushed from like $1.70, depending where you add, to $4, right? 100%, not bad on the initial run. Then stock is not doing anything, and those Lotto options are just going sideways, right? And they're even losing the values because you are going under that 515 strike, right? So if you do not understand options, you will not understand a lot of things what I'm saying, but I assume you know the basics. But if it's under 515, you see it's losing its value. It would have gone to 0 if we broke here, but then we had a breakout, and then that option went from $1 to $8. That's why the Lotto options risk is 100%. Even if you had bought at 2, by end of the day you had a 300% gain. Your $200 became $800. So that was like a 300% Lotto gainer. So that's why you have to follow these special rules. Make sure you're not doing getting out when it's stopping you out and running crazy. You can do the next week's calls, that's fine. So I'm looking at next week's 520 calls, which went from $3 all the way to $8, right? It's another 150% gainer. So if you're a new trader, you can avoid those options, or of course you can trade the shares. But these options are also illiquid. They have spread. You have to trade with the limit orders on these options. But you can see how the move was on ISRG. You can see my time-stamped guidance. You can see my pre-market planning. Everything explained. No BS. Before and after. A plus long setup. Beautiful, beautiful winner. Let's go to the next one. All right, next one we're going to look at gold. So as you know that gold has been breaking out. Let me see if I can find that gold futures. Let's see if I can find those US gold futures. So you can see that gold, right? It's another breakout, another all-time high breakout. Gold doesn't stop. This is like a growth stock breakout setup. It was, you can see all the breakouts happening in gold right from here, right? 2300 back in June. Then you see this breakout happening right here, and then you see this breakout September, and now you see this breakout. Gold can easily go higher. So due to all these breakout setup on the gold, you can trade the derivatives. Like in this case, we were looking at gold miners leveraged ETF. So that was on our plan. You can see that gold all-time highs, GDXU, and that GDXU, very easy trade. You could just buy like at the open, buy some shares, 1,000 shares, risk, under the clouds, you risk like $1,000, and by the end of the day you're making 4 or 5 grand on that trade. So that was gold. That's why we had even our watch list, right? So GDXU, beautiful job by Vinod, in our admin in the community, adding this play for us. Beautiful, beautiful. So you understand what the setup was, all-time high on gold. All right, just want to talk about ASML. So ASML is also our swing. Yesterday before the market close, I did tell everyone that CLSK is. We added it yesterday when it was closing very strong, and this morning we were trading it long as well. ASML, nice gap overnight idea, testing MTF cloud. And I recommend it. Do not trade the Lottos because this is a swing. It's it's going to lose a lot of value. And I did scalp some Lottos, but once it was failing to hold on, I closed them because they would go to 0. I'm holding the shares, and this is our swing. You can see that ASML is came down a lot. Any pullback to 700 is a buy. Under 700 you avoid it, but I think it has a lot of room for recovery. ASML, semis are strong. It's a level that it was back in the start of the year. It's basically flat for the year, and ASML makes all the equipment for all the semiconductor companies. If Taiwan Semi is doing good, so ASML should recover. It will recover. So keep eyes on that swing. Beautiful, beautiful so far for us. So another one of our swings that I want to quickly talk about is CLSK. So CLSK also a swing, one of the swings I gave. If you go to my Twitter, you will see that I gave this swing right around this breakout area. So far, CLSK swing is working out nicely for us. With the Bitcoin, reclaim the clouds here. My next target is at 1346. You can go to Twitter and see my timestamp before and after. But I think that's our next target, and then we'll target 14. And then our stops are right at the clouds, under the clouds, $11, or even raise it. But I think we should see higher. That's another winner for the community. So another one we're going to talk about is ACHC. So ACHC had a news. I tweeted about this news at 2:57, and we traded it short. It's an insurance company, and the news was they're being investigated for fraud in insurance. Well, that's the whole company about, and so that news is not good. It's gonna, you see there, news alerted in our news bot alerted. I said it's an A+ setup. It's a short. I shorted some 56. I kept shorting under that, and finally we got about 53 here. You can see the timestamp guidance on our trading floor. These kind of the trades make up your week, right? A+, full size. You can see, I actually went a good size there, and it turned out to be a solid day for me as well on this, right? ACHC. So but not always we will hit that. It's just a conviction call. Your stops are right around these clouds. You have to stop out if it pushes over the clouds on 10-minute whenever you're playing the news. But sometimes you don't do it, sometimes you don't hit the news, but it's your conviction call. It's about how much you understand the news. That's why I understand it's an A+. That's why I was confident about it. So we shorted it, and pretty other thing was the daily chart was pretty bearish. If daily chart is pretty bearish, it's breaking down. It's a little more conviction to short anything. It can see more lows in coming days. If daily chart, weekly chart is bearish, that short is even better. Every investor is losing money here. They don't want to bounce. So that was a good winning trade in the community. So next one we're going to quickly talk about is SMCI, the loser idea in the community today. It was pulling up, and I told everyone to buy the 48 dips. It did push towards 49, but then right away it flushed, and you had to stop out of that SMCI. Full back risk level 48. I did tell everybody to move the stops at 48.20s when we pushed higher. So basically we stopped out, break even, scratch trade there. But I thought you should recap it to understand that you have to respect your stops. If you do not stop out here, you can lose a lot of money. See what I'm saying? Stops move up to 48.20s. That's very important. So that was SMCI. Just want to talk about another big runner that we're having lately called Drug. This was not on, I was not really interested in trading it, but a lot of traders in the community were trading it. But I just want to show you the power of the Ripster EMA clouds. You see that it's gapping up. You can risk under 33. You can long here. You don't have to go crazy. On these stocks, you have to stops like $3, $4 wide stops. You cannot have $1 or $2 stops because they have huge spread, right? If I'm buying here at 37, my risk still will be like 33, like $3, $4 stops. And because I'm trying to make 10, $20, and look at that, how high it went. And it never broke the 512s. There are other opportunities as well. So it's key. The thing about the stock like Drug is the size, right? Now, why is Drug running? There are many neat reasons. It was not just a pump. So there is the comparable company got bought out for a lot of money, and then this Drug was good. A lot of funds starting to buy in yesterday. Perceptive, another funds, they bought high dollars, and today there was a private placement. So you don't think that stock ran from $3 to $20. You think about that, the valuation, right? What is the valuation of the stock? I mean, the stock, there's no float. Its stock is just 100 million valuation. It's not the price that matters, it's the valuation. So that means that when stock was $20, it was just 40 million valuation. And if the comparable company is selling at $500 million, I don't know how much, 200, 300 million. So it's about the valuation. It's not about the price because there's such a small float. It's all about supply and demand. So supply and demand. So what if this company is worth 300 million? That means it can run another 100, $120. Right, so that's the key. If somebody's buying at 10 million, at $10, if the funds came and bought it at $10, that means those funds are paying a valuation of 30 million, right? If it's 100 million here, they are paying a valuation 20 million, and they're fine with it. They're not looking at the dollar value, they're looking at the market cap. So they are happy to pay 30 million valuation because they think the stock can be 300 million valuation. Maybe, who knows, right? So, but you need to understand is the float. People look at just the price. It's going crazy. People don't look at the market cap. That's, you have to understand, is the float, is the number of shares. If you only have 5 million shares in the market, there's more demand than supply. And so always study the market cap and understand. So that's why drug went crazy today, because funds, they did a private placement because there's not enough shares. They invested around $20. If an investor is investing out $20, which is at 40 million valuation, so they are expecting it to go higher, and that's why you see squeeze. Noob short traders, which just think it's too high. First of all, you should never trade these low floats. They get squeezed. So it's about supply demands, guys. It's not just about the price. If you just split it and make the float 10 times bigger, then drug would have gone from $2 to $5, and then we wouldn't have thought it in the similar way, but it would have been same market cap, if you understand what I mean, right? So it's all about the market cap. So anyways, you could trade these big runners with the clouds as well, and you can get out at the 512 breaks. So just wanted to do a quick recap of drug. Hopefully everybody having a great weekend. See you guys on Monday. Great start of the earnings season. Take care. Bye-bye.